Welcome back to Philo Thoughts, where we dissect the deepest ideas hidden within the stories we love. Today, we're plunging into the psyche of the Prince of all Saiyans, Vegeta. He is more than just a rival. He is a philosophical study on the pain of pride, the prison of the past, and the desperate struggle to find new purpose when your ideal world collapses. Get ready to uncover the tragedy behind the universe's most proud warrior. Introduction: the prison of royalty. Vegeta's journey is not just about overcoming power, it is about the failure to break free from an imposed identity. As the Prince of all Saiyans, his worth was defined by his birth, his power level, and his belief in his inherent superiority. This Saiyan pride is not a virtue, it is a philosophical prison. It renders him incapable of accepting defeat, acknowledging Goku's superiority, and finding peace in his new life on Earth. His identity is irrevocably tied to a throne that no longer exists, a lineage that ended in flames, and a cosmic mandate to be the strongest, a mandate that Kakarot has constantly and effortlessly defied. This video will explore how this pride manifests as both his greatest weakness and his most destructive strength. We will analyze Vegeta's tragedy, a man shackled to a past glory that will never exist again, forced to live in the shadow of the man he despises yet secretly envies for his freedom of spirit. Vegeta's trauma is the loss of his entire culture, which leaves him clinging desperately to the only thing that remains, the title of Prince. Every major life decision, every tantrum, and every impossible training session is a direct result of this existential conflict. His struggle is our struggle, the constant effort to detach ourselves from external definitions of worth and find an authentic path toward redemption. The core philosophical dilemma for Vegeta is the confrontation between essence and existence. His essence, as defined by his royal bloodline and Saiyan heritage, dictates that he must be the strongest. However, his existence on Earth forces him to contend with a reality where a low-class warrior, Goku, continually surpasses him. This mismatch creates an unbearable tension, driving his most volatile acts, such as allowing Babidi to take control during the Buu saga. He sought to revert to the pure, unburdened, evil identity, the essence that would allow him to fight without the complex, constraining emotions of his new life. Ultimately, the price of pride is the inability to find self-acceptance. By constantly comparing himself to Goku, Vegeta grants Kakarot control over his emotional and martial growth. His pride mandates that he must win, but his internal logic knows he cannot, creating a self-destructive loop. He cannot simply be Vegeta, he must be better than Goku, thus outsourcing his self-worth to his rival. This reliance on comparison rather than internal fulfillment is the true tragedy of the prince, making his journey less about becoming the strongest and more about finally learning to define himself on his own terms. The nihilism of destiny, the only law is strength. Before arriving on Earth, Vegeta's philosophy was defined by a brutal cosmic nihilism. Having lived under Frieza's iron fist and witnessed the destruction of his own planet, Vegeta concluded that morality, justice, and even loyalty were illusions. The only lasting truth in the universe is strength. For Vegeta, power was not just a means to an end, it was the only end. This nihilistic philosophy justifies his initial actions, killing Nappa, conquering planets, and disregarding life, because, in his view, the strong have the absolute right to dominate and destroy the weak. His Saiyan pride is based on this brutal certainty. Since he is, or should be, the strongest, his will is, by extension, the law. The tragedy of this nihilism is that by rejecting all forms of affection and morality, he becomes profoundly lonely. The power he adores is the same power that isolates him. This loneliness is the wound that Goku and the Z-Fighters involuntarily begin to heal, forcing Vegeta to confront the possibility that power can be wielded for protection and not just for domination. In truth, this nihilism is not an original belief, but rather a psychological armor forged under Frieza's rule. It is easier for Vegeta to accept the rule that the strong must rule than to acknowledge that the massacre of his people was an act of arbitrary evil. Embracing this belief allowed him to justify his own servitude and, worse, his own atrocities, transforming his victimhood pain into an aggressor.
The shadow of Kakarot, the trauma of rivalry. Vegeta's rivalry with Goku, Kakarot, is not merely a training dispute. It is a philosophical trauma. Goku represents everything Vegeta despises, a low-class warrior who cares nothing for lineage, who finds joy in fighting, and who consistently surpasses him through pure-hearted effort and hard work. For Vegeta, every victory by Goku is a direct refutation of his identity and his Saiyan pride. Vegeta's philosophy rests on essence. He is the prince, therefore he must be the strongest. Goku is the personification of existence. His worth is built through his actions, not his birth. The fact that Goku is superior proves that the only truth Vegeta holds, his royal blood, is irrelevant. This rivalry turns into a form of existential masochism. Vegeta cannot simply stop fighting Goku, because stopping would be accepting that his life philosophy is wrong. He needs Goku to exist as a target, for without Kakarot's shadow, Vegeta has no reference point to define his unstrength, which would leave him in a nihilistic identity crisis. The trauma is the pain of being constantly forced to confront the fragility of his own supposed superiority. The depth of this trauma is best seen in the Buu saga with the Majin Vegeta transformation. Vegeta willingly submits to Babini's control, not just for power, but for equal footing, to return to the pure, unburdened evil that he believes made him superior, and to eliminate the confusing emotional bonds of his life on Earth. This act is a desperate, regressive attempt to abandon his slow, painful path toward moral complexity and return to the simple, destructive certainty of his initial nihilism, all in a bid to finally surpass Goku without any emotional constraints. Redemption through acceptance, the path to purpose. Vegeta's true evolution occurs not through power, but through acceptance. After years of trying to deny his attachment to Earth and his new family, his pride begins to yield to the simple truth of his love for Bulma and Trunks. This attachment is not a weakness, as his Saiyan philosophy taught him, but a source of moral strength and purpose. His greatest moment of redemption occurs during the fight against Buu, when he finally recognizes Goku's superiority and sacrifices himself for his loved ones. This sacrifice is the final philosophical rejection of his earlier nihilism. He chooses love and the protection of others over his own existence and pride. He finally understands that his worth is not determined by being the strongest, but by what
Ultra Ego, the redefinition of the ego. Vegeta's transformation into Ultra Ego is his greatest philosophical statement. While Goku's Ultra Instinct requires the emptying of the mind and surrender to instinct, Ultra Ego demands the opposite, the total acceptance of the self, ego, including his rage, his pride, and his destructive urges. It is a form that thrives on conflict and grows stronger as he embraces damage. Philosophically, Ultra Ego is Vegeta's final answer to his identity crisis. He stops trying to be an imperfect version of Goku, the selfless hero, and instead finds power by embracing his destructive side. It is not a return to evil, but an act of authenticity. He uses his inherently competitive and destructive nature, inherited from the Saiyans and Beerus, as a catalyst for protection. Ultra Ego is the point where his Saiyan pride becomes productive. It is no longer a pride based on lineage, but a pride based on choice. He chooses his role, accepts his nature, and uses that strength to defend the world. His journey proves that true self-mastery does not come from denying one's past, but from integrating one's shadow to achieve a unique and genuine power. This final form is a deep contrast to his earlier attempt at self-definition with Majin Vegeta. While Majin Vegeta was a desperate, external submission to control to reclaim his evil essence, Ultra Ego is an internalized mastery of that very essence. Beerus' training taught him to embrace the destroyer god mentality, to destroy without guilt or mercy, but Vegeta channels this principle to destroy only his enemies. He retains the destructive capability, but directs it with the moral compass earned through his life on Earth, finally making his most destructive traits his most valuable assets. Furthermore, the very name Ultra Ego highlights his refusal to follow Goku's path. Where Ultra Instinct seeks to minimize the self, the ego, for efficiency, Vegeta chooses to maximize it. His power is a celebration of his distinct individual will. It is a declaration of philosophical independence, asserting that there is more than one path to ultimate strength. Vegeta's power-up is the ultimate lesson in personal philosophy. The strongest power you can achieve is the one that is uniquely and authentically your own. Epilogue: The Legend of Continuous Growth. Vegeta's saga is ultimately a tribute to continuous growth. He is the proof that true strength is not static. It is not a power level, a title, or a form, but rather the capacity to change and to redefine oneself. The early Vegeta was a finite being, limited by his pride and his pursuit of revenge. The modern Vegeta is infinite, constantly exploring new forms and integrating new lessons like Ultra Ego. He transcends his initial role as a villain to become the hero of self-overcoming. His story teaches that regardless of the scale of past mistakes or trauma, the journey towards self-acceptance and growth never ends. His real victory is not over Goku, but over his former self, the Prince of all Saiyans who was too proud to be happy. The philosophical weight of his character arc rests on his commitment to eternitas, the idea of eternal progression. He never settles, even when he achieves a state of incredible power. Vegeta understands that stagnation is the true defeat, and the only way to retain his hard-won identity is through relentless self-challenge. He uses his failure not as a source of shame, but as the foundation for his next transformation, embodying the ultimate resilience of the human, or Saiyan, spirit. This makes Vegeta the most compelling model for personal development in the series. While Goku embodies natural, pure instinct, Vegeta embodies the conscious, difficult choice to change. His struggle is relatable because it is defined by internal resistance and ego-driven setbacks. He is the warrior who chose his moral path, and whose legacy is not merely destruction, but the profound, ongoing evolution of the self.
Conclusion: detachment from the past and the new pride. Vegeta's journey is not just a tale of raw power. It is a profound philosophical statement on the cost and ultimate reward of self-definition. His life began shackled by the title of prince and the dogma of Saiyan pride, leading him down a path of nihilism and self-destruction. His arc teaches us that to truly grow, one must first detach from the burden of an imposed past. His greatest achievement is not Super Saiyan 4 or Ultra Ego, but his ability to finally step out of Goku's shadow and declare his own distinct philosophical path. He learned that being the protector of his family in his chosen world was a far greater source of strength than being the vengeful prince of a dead planet. This is the birth of his new pride, a pride earned through choice, sacrifice, and the difficult, continuous labor of redemption. Vegeta is the living proof that trauma does not have to be destiny. By accepting his new life, his complex nature, and even his failures, he transformed his greatest philosophical prison, the arrogance of his birthright, into his greatest asset, the relentless, authentic drive of the self. The essence of Vegeta's final philosophy is the understanding that identity is a verb, not a noun. It is not what you are, a prince, a rival, but what you do, a protector, a father, a warrior who keeps training. His willingness to evolve and adopt new power forms, like Ultra Ego, not only to match Goku, but to find a route unique to his own destructive ego, demonstrates a profound self-awareness that transcends the arrogance he initially displayed. He moved from deterministic despair to willed self-creation. In the end, Vegeta provides a powerful counterpoint to the easy heroism often found in fiction. His is a hard-won redemption, achieved through tantrums, mistakes, and painful realizations. He shows that the path to true self-mastery is messy, fraught with relapses, Majin Vegeta, and requires the courage to be imperfect. His legacy is not the level of his power, but the example that even those who were once defined by malice can find a fulfilling life by replacing the pride of status with the pride of genuine, hard-earned worth. Vegeta's story challenges us. What old, rigid definition of yourself are you still clinging to that prevents your growth? Let us know in the comments below. What is the greatest philosophical lesson you learned from Vegeta's struggle to define his own worth? If the prince's journey resonated with you, hit the like button and subscribe to Philothoughts for more deep dives into the philosophy of manga and anime.